Hello and welcome to week 6 of traveling around the world. Grab your passports and get ready to go.
Let's travel around the world, through ocean, sea, and land. We don't have 80 days, but oh, our trip it will be grand. We start in North America, USA and Canada. Up north it's cold, down south it's hot, more continents there are a lot. Let's travel around the world. South America, it's plain to see, is south of North America. There's mountains, rivers, and lots of trees. Africa is home to the deserts and the Nile River. Europe's a peninsula, I hope you're a good swimmer. Asia is the biggest continent of all. Frozen tundra up in Russia, islands I can't name them all. And down under, Australia has a desert plain, but in the water, the coral reefs that bleaching. The last one is Antarctica, it's ice, ice, ice. There's mountains and there's valleys, but it's ice, ice, ice. We made it around the world, through ocean, land, and sea. We went real fast, it was a blast. Let's stop and have some tea.
In geography class, we are traveling around the world from our desk by learning about the world and exploring the people and places that are in it. You don't need a passport to do this, but if you did travel to a different country, you would need a passport. I'm not going to show you inside of mine, but when you take a picture for your passport, they don't let you smile. So here's about what I look like. If you want to, your teacher can print you out this passport that you can color, and then you can also fill out your information. That I have this information in my passport: your name, date of birth, nationality. You can draw a picture of yourself. You can draw yourself smiling if you want to. And then as we learn about different countries, you can write the name of the country in the visa spot and maybe a fun fact you learned about that country as well. This is not something you have to do, but if you want to, or your teacher wants you to, is a fun way to keep track of all the places you've learned about in geography. This week, we are traveling to Canada. On day 1, you have 4 things to do. After you do the first 3 things with the reading and the map skills and the section 1 assessment, then you can come down here and watch this Canada song video. Only after you do these should you watch this video as a reward to yourself for doing all of that hard work. On day 2, you will read these pages, do some more map skills, and then a couple more questions for the assessment. And then you can watch the O Canada video. This video is Canada's national anthem. On day 3, you'll read a little bit more, do a couple more questions, and then you'll do the standardized test practice on page 163. On day 4, you will write 1 paragraph about Canada. What have you learned about Canada? What questions do you still have? Would you like to visit Canada? Anything you would like to write about Canada, you can write there. Then you will take a test, and you can use your book on this test. If you don't want to write 7 sentences, you can write a poem instead. Let's look at some examples. Here's one example of a Canada poem. Your teacher will decide how long your poem should be if you're doing this in place of writing a paragraph. Happy Canada Day. There is one place I call my home, where the maple trees grow, the prairie winds blow, snow-topped mountains, blue bays that glisten, forests of pine, people are kind, this country of mine, Canada, I love you. A poem by Bonnie Lynn Morris. Here is an acrostic poem where Canadian is spelled from top to bottom, and then they listed some things about Canada. Culture, agriculture, natural landscapes, acceptance, diversity, identity, Atlantic to Pacific, natural resources. Now, if you choose to do an acrostic poem like this, maybe you choose a few different words and also maybe explain culture. Well, maybe go into that a little bit more. Agriculture, what Do they farm? What is their agriculture? What are some natural landscapes? So be a little more detailed than the author of this poem was. When you're reading through your book, sometimes it's tempting just to try and find the information that you need to just answer your question so you can be done with it. But there's a lot of other good information hidden in your textbook if you know where to look for it. I'll show you some of these hidden treasures now. At the end of your chapter, there's usually a reading review. Here we have one for section 1, 2, and 3. If you read this first, it can help solidify the important points when you're going through and reading through the sections. So in section 1, they have terms to know and main ideas. Let's read the main ideas together. Canada is a vast country with many landforms and climates. Region. Canada, the second largest country in the world, is rich in natural resources. Region. Canada has a variety of landforms, including mountains, lowlands, Arctic wilderness, and prairies. Economics. The lowlands of the St. Lawrence River and the Great Lakes region have rich soil and good transportation routes. Region. The Canadian Shield, covering half of Canada's land area, is rocky and unsuitable for farming, but has mineral resources and water power. Region. Most of Canada has a cool or cold climate. Milder temperatures are found in the southern part of the country and the southwest. Section 2 is about their economy, the main ideas. Canada's economy benefits from rich natural resources, skilled workers, and close trading ties with the United States. Canada is one of the world's most economically advanced countries. Most people in the East make a living in manufacturing, mining, and service industries. Some work in fishing and farming. Quebec and Ontario have Canada's largest cities and most of its people. Farming, ranching, oil, and forestry are major economic activities in the West. Economic challenges include settling regional differences, working out Canada's relationship with the United States, and solving environmental problems. And the third section is about the Canadians themselves, the people who live in Canada. Canadians of many different backgrounds live in towns and cities close to the United States border. Native Americans were the first Canadians. French and British settlers later built homes in Canada. Large numbers of immigrants have recently come from Asia and Eastern Europe. Government. Canada's government is a parliamentary democracy headed by a prime minister. Culture. Some people in French-speaking Quebec want to separate from the rest of Canada. And culture again. Canada's population is made up of many different ethnic groups. English and French are the country's 2 official languages. So when you read the review first, it puts into your brain the main ideas that you're going to be reading about later. Here's something in your book that you might be tempted to skip over because it's not in the main paragraph. Exploring our world. Arrête or stop. People living in Quebec need to know both words when they cross the street. Canada has 2 official languages, English and French. All government documents are printed in both languages. In Quebec, even the school system is divided into French and English. On location. Nighttime harvest. At harvest time in southern Saskatchewan, the work goes on around the clock. The farms in the prairie provinces are large and depend on machinery. So farmers in this area might farm into late night hours to harvest what they need to harvest. Here's another exploring our world. Fishing is a major industry along the coasts of Canada. With thousands of miles of rocky coastline and hundreds of sheltered harbors, the provinces on the Atlantic Ocean are perfectly suited to this activity. A young Canadian helps the family business by banding lobsters, placing thick bands around their claws before they are sent to market. St. Lawrence Seaway. The St. Lawrence Seaway provides a water link between the Great Lakes and the Atlantic Ocean. Here you can see how deep these lakes are compared to the sea level. Have you ever seen up close and personal a lumbering, snarling grizzly bear? Many tourists come to Banff National Park in Western Canada hoping to spot such a creature. Located in the Rocky Mountains, Banff is Canada's oldest, best-loved, and busiest national park. More than 4 million visitors a year are drawn to its spectacular mountain scenery. See you next time. Thanks for traveling around the world with me.